Hello there, fellow gardeners and landscapers. Just a heads up that the sound quality on today's episode with the wonderful Gareth Waugh is sadly not as good as it normally is. I hate putting these disclaimers in front of episodes when this has happened, but this is in part due to the perils of being an independent podcast, meaning that myself and the team are learning as we go, and hopefully these kinks will be ironed out as soon as possible. I think they may have affected the next 2 or 3 episodes. Ironically, it's actually because we started to use some new equipment that was hoping to improve the quality of the overall show that changes in the setup have led to a sound problem. Furthermore, I can't apologise enough for this. There was also some extensive DIY happening in the venue where we record, so you may hear the odd buzzsaw or drill in the background as well. Anyway, I'm rambling. Thank you for listening. Hopefully these issues won't dampen your enjoyment of what is an absolutely quality show content-wise with the wonderful Gareth Waugh.
Let me ask you something. Do you ever feel a bit bored with your clothes? Like just the stuff you're wearing, it feels a bit lifeless, a bit drab, a bit uncharacterful? Well, I've got just the thing for you. Not only am I delighted to say that this week's episode is sponsored by the wonderful Don't Feed the Bears clothing, a wonderful independently run family business from Yorkshire, but they are also offering an exclusive 10% discount code for listeners and viewers of this podcast. All you have to do is go onto the wonderful don'tfeedthebears.co.uk website, pick out anything from all the hundreds of different things they have: hats, bags, jumpers, hoodies, you name it, they've got it. All wonderfully hand-printed, bear adjacent, colourful designs. And at the checkout, enter the discount code DEAD10. That's DEAD, D-E-A-D, and then the number 10, for your exclusive 10% off. I also want to add that sometimes people think that if you have a sponsor as a podcast, you really have to give them a good plug. That's not the case here. I've been wearing the clothes from Don't Feed the Bears for years, and in fact I approached them to see if they'd be interested in sponsoring this. That's how highly I rate them. I wanted to be able to wear their stuff all the time. And from one independent podcast to an independent company, help each other out. So do check them out, and thanks again for listening to Stop Watering Dead Flowers.
I went to Japan with my boyfriend at the time, and we visited temples. When we arrived at the first temple, he told me the recurring fountain was for the fountain of youth, and he said each temple had one, and it was blessed. So naturally I had a sip from each temple as he watched me do that all day, laughing to himself. In the evening, he confessed he was joking, and it was actually where people were meant to wash their feet and hands before entering the temple. I was horrified. Within 2 days, I had tonsillitis and was taking a mountain of tablets for the rest of my holiday. Safe to say, he got dumped before I got on the flight home, never to be heard from again. A wonderful story there from Sarah in Edinburgh. Thank you for sending those in. Please keep them coming, and welcome back to another episode of Stop Watering Dead Flowers. Stop watering dead flowers. I'm delighted to say that this week's guest is the wonderful Gareth Waugh. Gareth, how are you?
I'm very good, man. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for being here. As a way of introduction, I guess, one of the UK's leading lights in terms of the world of stand-up comedy, but you've also done writing.
I thought you were talking about the venue for a second. I was like, yes, it is good here, yeah.
You've done a bit of everything, really, with it, but comedy's been the kind of jumping off point for a lot of it.
Yeah, well, I think you can't really just do comedy anymore, can you? You've got to have all these other things in your arsenal.
Or like farmers diversifying.
Yes, and doing stand-up.
Big shout out to Jim Smith.
Yeah.
But that's wonderful. You, as a comic, and I've said this to most of the comics that have been on here, I feel like would lend themselves to a show like this, because quite often we use the things that we hold on to come up with material. Are you one of those people, or are you quite good at letting things go?
I'd never let anything go.
Perfect.
At all. In fact, I did a whole routine in my Edinburgh show this year about how I hold on to a grudge and constantly think about any times I've been wronged by people. The example I told was, it was the end of lockdown and I was walking my dog very late at night, and I had him off the lead because I thought, we're not going to see anyone. And even if we do, he's a very friendly boy. And then we turn this corner, there's a couple outside our block of flats and a cigarette. The dog just starts running towards them. And I'm like, let's come back. And he turns and looks at me and says, I'm not coming back. I'm not seeing people through this. And so he keeps going, and he like gets to the guy and the girl, and he lies on his back, hoping that they'll give him a scratch.
Yeah.
And they don't scratch him, which I thought was a bit of a red flag.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, if I see a dog at 1 a.m. when I'm having a cigarette, I'd be like, whoa, perfect. That genie was legit. I've got 2 more wishes. But so then my dog like jumps up at the guy, and I'm like, let's get down. And I run over and I get him down. I'm like, so sorry about that, guys. And the guy goes to me, I don't appreciate your dog jumping up at me. And I was like, I've kind of already apologised. And we walked away. And I've thought about that every week for 4 years.
Yeah. Just the guy was...
I was like, my wife was with me at the time. And I remember we were walking the same direction. Maybe like 4 months later, I was like, do you still think about that guy? And she's like, what guy? And I was like, what do you mean, what guy? The guy, the dog jumped up and he was really rude. And she went, no. She was like, do you still think about that? I was like, every day.
Yeah.
I think about it all the time. He was so rude, and I didn't really stick up for me or the dog or anybody. And I'd already apologised. I got furious. I would often walk the dog that same way, hoping to see the guy again, just to get another crack at it and be like, well, I've already said sorry, actually. So,
do you know this? I feel like we're kindred spirits in this ones, because the holding on to stuff, but the dog related ones, because you've reminded me of when I lived up in Glasgow in Shawlands and Waverley Gardens. There was a small patch of it was a small bit of gardens, so during COVID it was really handy for people that had dogs. But one day there was myself and 2 other dog people that were in this bit of park, and this furious kind of local guy walked up to us and started to berate us about we shouldn't be in this bit of gardens and we're ruining the grass, ruining the life, no one else can be using it, why don't we just walk to Queen's Park, we're lazy, or this, that and the other. And we just took it. I mean, we had every right to be in this park, because, I mean, I was so kind of upset and then obsessed over it as well. We contacted the local MP. I wrote a letter and they confirmed that the park was open to dog spaces. And I kept wanting to meet this guy again and be like, look, we're allowed to be in the park. Yeah. And also when he walked out of the park and went to his car, because parking's terrible up in Shawlands or really anywhere in Glasgow, he was parked on a kind of corner of 2 curbs where it says like, don't park here.
Yeah, right.
I don't want to be like, you're not allowed to park there. What, you're too lazy? Yeah. You have to go further away. And
it's funny you took it. I'm the same. Like I'm so like not ready for anyone to be angry or mean to me that I do just, anytime that happens, I'm just kind of like, oh, what's going on? And it's only afterwards I'm like, why didn't you say something? Yeah.
Confrontation.
Yeah, I'm not okay on it. I
think because I had an older brother, I know we're kind of skewing off topic a little bit, but often when in my youth, I can remember a couple of occasions, but one in particular where I was nearly in a fight, which probably seems laughable in itself, but I was kind of just arguing and kind of doing really pathetic back and forth pushing with this one guy for so long that my brother, when he tells the story, it's very funny. In fact, when his wife tells it, it's even funnier. She said he was looking at us with just kind of a pathetic disdain of his younger brother. And he said to his wife, hold this, passed him a beer, and then he just ran at the guy and speared him to the ground. Kind of fighting my fights for me type of thing. So I think there was a part of me, the dog incident, that I would expect him to come and be like, here mate.
Yeah, that's so funny. And you remind me of once in Abattoir, which is the artist bar in the Fringe.
Yeah.
I was sat with Elliot Steele and we were having espresso martinis.
Of course.
It was very decadent. And then this guy like got into a bit of a fight with the doorman, and then Elliot like passed me his espresso martini and he helped the doorman. Then I was just standing with 2 espresso martinis going, yeah, get him, Elliot. I was just like, why am I not the one that's passing in martini? Yeah. Why am I always holding the martinis? I would rather be that, to be fair, if I really analysed it. But there was a very shameful moment for me.
Yeah. Well, I got to tell you, even in these precursor stories, you sound like the ideal candidate for this podcast.
Good, yes.
So let's pick out your first one. As always, we like to start with a childhood story. I'm sure there's maybe a few, but if you've been able to pick out one in particular that haunts you, lives with you rent-free.
Well, there is. I think this was the one that was the easiest for me, because I think like it was constant as a child. I remember really specifically thinking when I was about maybe 14, I was sat and I had a little word with myself going, listen, Gareth, now's not your time. But when you're like 30, everything's going to be fine. But right now, it's going to be shit.
Yeah.
But right now it's bad. So there was so many. But I think the one that really stands out is around my first kiss, which I went as badly as I think possible.
Yes.
I think I was about 13, and this girl round the corner from me had a birthday party, and she invited like a bunch of boys and girls for a sleepover.
Oof.
Which I mean, big commitment there. But it was just round the corner, so my mum was like, "Yep, fine." And so her parents went upstairs, and we got like free reign of the downstairs area of the house.
The dream.
And one of them suggests playing like spin the bottle.
Oh no.
Which is always, very tense, because it adds gambling to the to the already high stakes that are taking place, and I was really nervous. All my mates, they'd already kissed lots of girls and stuff. They were quite experienced, and so they were like, "We're going to get you your first kiss." It was there was a lot of male camaraderie there.
Right.
And so I remember I was a horrific looking child, I have to say.
No.
There was so much going on. I was short, skinny. I had like full train track braces for 5 years and glasses.
Beautiful.
And so I wasn't a catch. And I remember when I spun the bottle and I landed on this girl, she was visibly upset. She was like, "Oh God, no." And I was like, "It's fine." So what they did, they made everybody stand up and kiss in front of everybody.
Oh.
And it was very short. But I remember being like so nervous, still had a hand in my jacket pocket at the time. And afterwards, I was like, "It's fine, feels good, we've done it."
You've done it up in front of everyone, kissed.
And as I'm walking back to my place in the circle, one of my mates put his foot up and tripped me up, and I fell and I hit my nose off the coffee table in the living room and broke my nose, just claret everywhere. And so I would just hold my nose, and I remember going like, "Paul, you fucking dick." And then like obviously there's such commotion, the parents come down who were doctors. So this lady whose birthday it was, both her parents were doctors, and they like patched me up and they made me sleep in a bed upstairs on my own while I recovered, despite living just round the corner. So I could hear everybody still downstairs having a laugh and fun. I just lay with like two huge black eyes and toilet roll up my nose.
I mean, they say, you'll not forget your first kiss, but you're probably the only person that really wants to.
Yeah, I would love to, yeah. My nostrils are still a different size. One's bigger than the other. I properly broke my nose.
I mean, there's a few things to unpack there. I mean, the girl, was the girl someone you liked as well? Were you like...
She wasn't at our school, she was...
adds an extra layer of exoticness whenever there was someone...
Absolutely. Although, of course, then that's the thing, when you go back to school and tell folk, they go, "Oh, she was still in school, does she?"
She lived
there was witnesses. I've got the wounds to show it. So, yeah, I think she was like in some sort of skiing class with this other girl. Like, they were very well-to-do family.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Was your pal apologetic at all for his action, or did he continually find it quite amusing?
I think he probably still finds it quite amusing. He didn't mean for me to fall. He just was like he would take the wind out of my sails a wee bit, like a bit of swagger, like, "We go first kiss." He says, "Way," and I fell. And
at least it wasn't on your way up.
Yes,
That would have been even worse.
Well, I probably still have never kissed a girl to this day if that was the case. I'm just like, forget it, it's not for me.
You're still trying to go through with it, blood pouring down. "I need this!"
This is 36 going, "Now's not your time, Gareth, but when you're 70, good God, you're going to be alright."
This is a weird question, but when you were telling me that story, for some reason this is what I was thinking about. I associate spin the bottle with probably being a bit older, and it's usually, like an empty beer bottle or vodka bottle, but as 13-year-olds, what was the bottle of choice? He's spinning like an Umbungo here, Ribena, what's going on here?
Well, an Umbungo would be a carton, so it'd be terrible. Tricky, not impossible. I think it probably was a beer. I think we were probably allowed a few beers, if I remember right. Like I said, it was quite a highfalutin family. Maybe it was a bottle of claret, I don't know.
Yeah.
But I can't really remember that part. But I think they were allowed a couple of refreshments.
That's good.
Because it was under their roof and it felt safe.
Did you ever see the girl that you kissed ever again?
Never. No. I couldn't even really remember what she was. I remember she was blonde and that was it.
Did you ever play Spin the Bottle again and have kind of PTSD flashbacks of thinking, "Oh no, what if this happens
I don't know that I did. It feels like it's such an American thing. It doesn't feel very Scottish.
No.
We were more just like, "I'll go and winch my pal." That was our Spin the Bottle. We just sent an envoy
under the underpass.
Yeah.
I haven't even spoken about this before, but my first, because it was like the VL and all that, we had the term breaking the VL. But the first person I kissed, it really had to be organised through a go-between.
Yeah.
Like someone would always come up. This guy was Richie, I'll not say his last name. But he came up to me and was like, "Look, Natalie's friend has told me that she quite likes you. Do you like her?"
Is there an arrangement to be made here?
Yeah.
For a kiss, and then we hadn't even seen each other until everything was organised through the friends, and then it was like information was relayed back from her friend to Richie to me to be like, right, we're all going to walk down to the Chippy at lunchtime, and you guys are going to go into the underpass. That's where everybody went.
The underpass.
If they were going to go for a winch.
Yeah.
And then once she walked down with her pals and I walked down with my pals, so the first time we actually even just walked next to each other was when we broke off from the packs.
Yeah.
Went under the underpass, did the deed, went back to our respective packs, we all went to the Chippy.
Wow, that's great.
Systematic.
I loved it. Like, it is a very Scottish thing, that, I think, to like employ a third. It's like selling a house or sorting out Russia, Ukraine. There's got to be some sort of middle ground and a lot of stuff organised.
It's the do you want to nip my pal phrase type of thing?
Yeah, it's a lot of admin, actually. But I do envy Americans for that. They're very confident and they just go up to folk and do it, don't they?
Very, very confident. Yeah. I experienced both of kind of high school in Scotland, high school America, and the difference was alarming.
Yeah.
Very upfront. People asking people out.
Yeah,
to their face.
Insane. What if they said no? You haven't thought this through at all, Americans.
So let me ask you this though as well. Once you played Spin the Ball and you got your first kiss, did that raise your level of confidence? Other than the fact that you smashed your face open? No. I can't even remember the next person I kissed after that. It was a long time, I reckon. Because all my mates, they used to go to like the under-18s discos. I was never allowed to go because they were always up the town. And so my mum was like, no, you stay here and we pray. Whatever I was doing. But yeah, I can't really... I was never prolific, ever. You're turning up to underage discos with the bottle. Hey, anyone want another game?
Yeah. I've got this for me. It's a good laugh. No, I remember finally getting to go to one, and like all my mates, there was crazy about the girls that were kissing. It was like some of them were up to double digits. It was almost like a competition with a lot of them, and they would say afterwards how many. And I remember finally like getting the courage and be like, "Oh, go and ask this girl here before the end." And she just looked at me and was like, "No." And I was like, well, I'm never asking anybody ever again. Why would I bother ever asking? And so I was just there, holding the jackets and the bongos and stuff for everybody else. I was quite happy to be a kissing caddy for all my mates. It was fine. I think that's probably why I do this now.
Yeah.
Because if I was kissing and happy, I certainly wouldn't be seeking validation on stage or on podcast.
I really feel that we're finding a lot of comics origin stories on this podcast. We're finding a lot of childhood trauma.
Yeah, oh God, there's a lot.
But that is what you ended up getting into, comedy.
Yeah.
So putting childhood behind you, you obviously blossomed eventually into a husband and father of two as well.
Yeah.
But in terms of career-wise, and it doesn't necessarily have to be from your comedy career, has there been an incident at some point during your work life where again you've just been unable to forget about it?
I was trying to think because I've had quite a few jobs, sometimes in tandem with comedy and sometimes just in their own right. And I think, there's always been some sort of incident at one of them. But the one that really kind of stood out, I used to work for the council for a bit, where I would do, I think it was 12-hour shifts. And it was kind of double-faceted job. Half the job was watching CCTV footage, and if the police came in, you would give them the footage from the CCTV camera. So that was quite interesting. But the other side was just in the room next door. It was a very small office. I would answer calls from either elderly or disabled people or people need a bit more help. They've got these wee buttons on their either wrist or round their neck.
Oh, like the emergency.
Yeah, so if they have a fall or they're feeling ill, they can press this button.
Wow.
And then the call comes straight to us. And then we would then answer it and our voice goes through their whole house because there's speakers around the house in case they fell in the bathroom or the living room, whatever. And so often you'd get them and you would have to phone people up and just be like, can you press your button and test it for me? And that was a lot of the thing. But there was one night, it was 2 a.m. and this lady had obviously wore her button to bed and she just rolled on it and pressed it. And so then my voice, I'm like a phone, which then goes through the speakers in our house. I'm like, Mrs. Rintoul or whatever it was, is everything okay? Is everything okay? And I mean, for her, she's just woke up and heard a voice in her house. The sound of God, really.
Voice of God.
Everything okay? She said, is it my time? And I was like, no, it's not. You've pressed your button. And she was like, I pressed my button. And I was like, yes, the button, your emergency button, is everything okay? And she went, why are you bothering me at 2 a.m? I went, well, in case it's emergency, that's what this whole service is. And she was just really upset with me afterwards. And everybody that worked in this office was much older and I felt so terrible about it. And I was like, what do we do here? And they were like, we could call her back in the morning and apologise. And so it was the end of my shift. I'm like, I'm going to call that lady back just to make sure she's okay. And she was out the house, couldn't get in touch with her. So, but she was just really upset that I would phone her, checking that she was. I was like, do you need an ambulance? She was like, no, I need my bed. That's what I need. You're half-wit.
So you never got the chance to
I never got the chance to apologise to this lady, despite doing my job. Like, that was the whole thing I was supposed to do.
Like, you
it
could
was
have
a
been
real
like,
emergency.
it's your fault.
Yeah.
For rolling.
Yeah. You can't be rolling about at your age, love. Come on. Stay on the back, get the bed source, and then we can help.
I don't think I knew. I mean, before we even unpack that story, I didn't know you worked for the council in that capacity before, which is really interesting.
Yeah.
The CCTV thing. Did you ever bear witness to something that you're like, oh, like?
There was always a good few fights and stuff. So like, I was in Midlothian. I don't know how much of this I'm allowed to say, but there was only really like, I think 4 or 5 CCTV cameras in the whole of Midlothian.
Right.
And 2 were both pointed at this one pub in Dalkeith called the Park, which was affectionately nicknamed the Peppermint Park. And they used to sell a drink there that you were only allowed to buy 2 of because it was so strong. And there was always fights outside there. It was great. And so the police would come in, and our office was right next to where this pub was.
Right.
So the police were always in going, have you got the footage of the fight? We're like, yeah, here we go. And
yeah. Wait till you see this one.
yeah, well, because we could control the cameras, so we'd like zoom in and watch stuff. It was quite exciting.
That's when you need speakers somewhere.
Yes.
Here, cut that out, guys.
Stop that.
Can you hear me?
Like, just swearing up to me.
It's quite, it must feel kind of weird. It's almost kind of voyeuristic watching something unfold in real time.
It is quite bizarre, yeah. It's a very Big Brother, you know, but that part was quite exciting, but I did find the buttons more interesting. I loved phoning up folk and just being like, can you press your button, make sure it's working alright? Because I'd get like all their information on the screen and what the help.
Quite futuristic.
Very Minority Report.
Was there the opposite? Was there must have been plenty of people that were like, oh, it's you, Gareth. Hello.
Some folk would press it for a chat. Yeah. There would often be folk that would just want a chat, and I'd be like, I've got to let you go now because this is an emergency service. So if there was somebody needing real help, Doris, I don't know, loneliness is a real thing, whatever. But phone your family instead.
Did it tend to be? I'm not asking this to be cruel. I'm genuinely curious to know that. Did they tend to get pressed mostly if they were unwell and felt like they were ill, or were they sometimes trapped or falling over, or what was the kind of most?
I would say 99 out of 100 was them phoning for a chat.
Oh, really?
They would just push the button and say, I'm just making sure the button's working. I'm like, okay, well, we also test that once a month, so you don't have to do that. But I worked on Christmas Day one time because they were offering triple time. I think it was like 30 quid an hour for a 12-hour shift. I was like, let's do that. But a lot of them phoned just to say Merry Christmas. They pushed the emergency button to wish us a Merry Christmas.
That's lovely though.
It is in a way. But I also understand why folk, like the emergency services are always like, please don't phone 999 unless it is absolutely necessary. Because we got hundreds of those, just all folk going, are you working? I just want to make sure that you're having a nice Christmas. I'm like, no, I'm here chatting to you, Doris. So no, I'm not having a nice time.
Get a wee Christmas carol on the go.
And like often we would have like emergency contacts attached to their sheets, so we'd have to sometimes phone the family and be like, listen, can you please like those prolific button pressers, they would press it a couple of times a day. Right. Be like, can you please tell your relative to stop phoning us? Because they would often ask like ridiculous things. Like there's one woman who was like, are the critters going to be out today? And I was like, well, you also shouldn't be. But yes, they are out, but you shouldn't be out. I can see you here from your sheet, you've only got 1 foot because of the diabetes. You should not be going anywhere. Like, okay. It's great fun.
That's amazing, the wee pop-up and the info sheet.
Yeah. I don't think I ever had to deal with an emergency, thank God, because I think I was only like 18 or 19 at the time. Right. And I was already like quite stressed about the prospect of maybe having to phone an ambulance for these people and like stay on the line with them and chat through to them. I think you've got to have a certain temperament for that, and a 19-year-old horny boy that's not kissing a lot of people, I don't think it's the temperament they need. I'm not a confident man.
You're starting to call them back.
Yeah,
you ever had to spin the ball?
What are you up to later on? Fancy the bingo?
This is an emergency.
Some would say.
Well, that's a shame you didn't get to call her back.
And, she was so angry with me. I remember being like, I can't believe I've been told off for trying to save somebody's life.
And what a shame to think
that I was about to say, well, I'm sure if she heard this, she would know, but
She's long gone.
she's gone.
Yeah, long gone.
Rest in peace.
Yeah. Pressing the big buttons in the sky now. God, this room's not very warm, actually. I'll send you somewhere warm if you want. You keep pressing that button. I think God would probably be fine with that, actually. I don't think he'd be upset with it.
That's fine. This is not similar, but in terms of, for some reason, when it's the elderly, I think everyone feels a great affection and affinity for the elderly, in that we all have grandparents or have experienced grandparents or people with that type of nature. And so if you feel like you've let them down, I think it can haunt you. Because you realise that they're near the end of their lives and you want to make things as easy as possible.
Yeah.
And I'm building this up an awful lot for such a nothing story, but again, it's something to think about. I don't think I've mentioned it before, but when I worked in a supermarket, a wee old guy came in, and he came up to me, shuffled up to me. He must have been kind of late 80s. I hadn't seen him in the shop before, and I worked there for like 5 years. And he says, "Oh, all right there, son. I was just wondering if you get any of the wee tins of red salmon. I saw them in the brochure that came through the door. Tins of red smoked salmon." And I said, "Oh, I don't know. I don't think
such an old boy purchase that as well."
And I don't know if it's because I can't remember exactly how long I'd been working there, but I went to the kind of tin section where I thought it would be, and didn't see them. And I just went back to him. I said, "I'm so sorry. I said, maybe they've sold out or something because they were on the offer, but I can't find any." And he was like, oh, it's such a shame. I'd seen it in the wee brochure and I thought, I fancy a wee tin of salmon there. I'll just walk out. And I thought, I'd take a wee stroll today and go and get a wee tin of salmon. And really spoke about it with great hair. He shuffled off out the shop. And because I'd been speaking to him for a wee while afterwards, the manager came up to me afterwards, Gavin. He was like, "Oh, what was he in for?" I said, "He was looking for the wee tins of red salmon." He said they were on offer. I said, "I couldn't see them at all in the aisle." And he went, "Do you mean these?" And like literally just kind of pointed round diagonally. There was a huge stack, like an old-fashioned stack of the special offer of it. And it killed me. And I was like, should I try and run after him? And I never did. And I never saw him again in the shop.
That's great.
And I keep thinking that could have been one of his last wishes was to get one.
Tin of red salmon.
I think about that all the time, man.
That's so sweet. I've worked with old people quite a lot. I used to work in a British Legion pub for a long time. It was like the nearest pub to my house, and it was like, why not? It's a very easy shift. There was almost nobody there. There was a guy that used to come in called Old John. Like all the other old guys called this guy Old John.
Right. So
this is how he was old. He was like 90 odd. He was always in a suit every single time.
Love that.
And like to the female bartenders, he was always like really sweet and generous. He was always like, "If he's been having a nice," like he was really like chat to them and was interested about their life. And to me, he was the most depraved man I've ever met. He would come up and I'd be pouring his pint. He'd be like, you ever seen the Babe Station?" I'm like, "Babe Station?" He said, "Oh God, there's women with their breasts out and you can phone them up." And I was like, "Oh, okay, John." I'm every day we'd talk about the Babe Station. And there was a TV through in the lounge and he was like, "Can we get one?" There was one day it was just me and him and he was like, "Oh, we'll get the Babe Station." I was like, I'm not going to watch Babe Station with a 90-year-old man, I reckon.
You're like, "John, have you ever heard of Spin the Ball?"
Yeah, now we're talking. Let's make this party a party. But he used to always play the bandit as well, the puggy, and he didn't really know how to play it, and so I would often go up and like play it for, because I could see if he'd won, I'd be like, "You've actually won," and he'd not realised, and drop it, and he'd always give me a wee tenner from that. But it was great, because none of them knew how to play it, because they're all really old, and so they just fill it, and so there was some shifts I would just take my tips and empty the puggy at the end of the shift and get an extra bit. But yeah, I love working with old people. They're interesting. Horny. Much hornier than you expect, the old folk. It's no red salmon, it's Diddy's on the telly, that's what we're after. Probably doing them both at the same time, that's heaven.
Well, that's a wonderful story. I would say it's kind of heartwarming and slightly haunting story of that poor woman. It would be remiss of me, maybe I'm throwing you in the deep end on the spot, but to ask if there is something from comedy, if there's any particular gig or occasion that's really stuck with you as well.
I don't know, like, I always kind of cheat when folk ask about like the worst gig. I always talk about one. It's the most intimidated I've felt, which was at the Copper Coin in Paisley.
Oof.
And I was on with Stuart Mitchell, and I can't remember who else. There was a few, Dan Connell and somebody else, and they were kind of, I remember them asking, "Oh, how many gigs have you done?" And I was like, "I don't know, I've just been doing it a couple of months," but they knew exactly how many shows they'd done. and they had to go to other gigs, so I ended up going on last, and I'd only been doing it like 3 or 4 months, and this really rough pub, and like the green room was the pool room. There was some guys playing pool, and one of them was like, "Are you the comedian?" And I went, I'm one of them, yeah. And he put his cue underneath my chin and he went, "You better be fucking funny." And I remember being like, "Well, you're not even in the gig, you're through here playing pool, like, what does it matter to you?"
But Begbie's just hanging out in the...
But it was quite a good gig, and I remember off the back of that, Gary Little had heard about it because the organiser had spoke to him.
Right.
And so Gary phoned me and he was like, "I heard you did well at the Copper Coin and Paisley for like this charity gig." He was like, "Do you want to come and do Mines and Paisley? It's 40 quid. And that was my first ever paid gig.
Oh, no way, it was Big Gary.
Big Gary did it, yeah. So, yeah, that was. I remember the phone call, and he's like, "Now don't fuck this up." And I was like, "Okay, yes, no problem, sir."
From one intimidating gig to another.
I know, yeah. It was such a weird phone call to get, because I remember being at my work, getting it, and I was I think I was fixing theodolites at the time. You know, the things that like measure distance are very accurate.
Oh,
so I was out with a pole doing that. Like I used to service and repair them, and I got the call, and I could see my boss like looking, and I was like, "Anyway, I've got to go. Thank you so much for the gig." I remember being like, "I'm not going to be doing this much longer. Comedy's the way for me. 40 quid, are you joking? For a gig in Paisley. It wouldn't even cover the petrol, but that's fine."
I love that word of mouth that Gary phoned and said, "I heard you did well at the Copper Coin." And
yeah.
Like, if you've done that one, alright.
In terms of stuff I regret, I don't know, like, I remember meeting Michael McIntyre, and I was really drunk, and I was just like, "Oh, you're one of the reasons I got into comedy," which is absolute bullshit. It's not true at all. And because I'd never even heard of him before I'd started comedy, but I've been standing next to him, I felt like I needed to say something as a 19-year-old kid, and he just gave me a cuddle, and he was like, "I'm the reason most people get out of comedy."
That's a pretty good line.
Yeah, it's not bad at all.
You're like, "Oh, that's good."
Yeah. He's a good guy to look up to. But I was sat at this table with him for ages. I didn't quite realise it was him, and this was when McIntyre's Roadshow was on, so it was like the biggest stand-up show in the UK at that point. I remember being like, "Oh my God," like as he was leaving, I went, "I need to say something to the guy," and that's why I said that. I remember thinking, that's not true at all, none of that's true.
But you feel this horrible, it's a people-pleasing thing, isn't it, that all comics are as well, like, I better say something nice to this person.
I'd say the worst gig I had recently was, and this was great because I had a chat the night before with Dan Tiernan. I was down in Brighton, and I was like, "I'm going to do Butlin's Skegness tomorrow in the afternoon." And I went, "Last time I was there, it's the worst death I've had in like 5-6 years. I was supposed to do 20 minutes. They just hated me." And then Scott Bennett went on after me and roofed it.
Really?
Like, absolutely annihilated the gig. So it wasn't the gig, it was me. And so I was talking to Dan about this. I'm like, "I'm really dreading going, like I'm really nervous about it." And he went, "Well, to be honest, mate, do you want to be the guy that does well at Butlin's Skegness, really?" And I was like, "You're so right, man. I shouldn't care about it." And I went on the next day and had a belter, and I was like, "Oh no." Oh no, I sent a message down like, "I know you were trying to G me up, but you've just made it all worse."
Oh no. Because there was a minute there I thought, "Oh, it's a kind of backhanded insult we're giving out to Scott Bennett, who is excellent here," to be like, "Oh, he's just ripped Butlins." But any gig's a gig, isn't it? You always feel like you can do well regardless of the audience. But it's so different. I bet it was the exact same material as well. It's just depends.
It was totally, and then it's a 7-hour drive home from there. The Skegness sounds like it should be in Scotland.
Yeah. Really.
You can't chuck Ness on the end of something. Skeg, it's a very Scottish sounding thing. It's like us calling a place like Windsor, Windsorshire. Do that.
I've got a habit of continually talking about the worst gig I had at the start of this year.
Oh yeah.
So it's worth mentioning the Kilwinning gig again. That was the worst
it's a gig brought up a lot
ever, and I will not stop talking about it every episode.
Where is Kilwinning again? Like, where is it near?
I'll tell you exactly where it is. It's in the middle of nowhere. No one should ever go there.
And everybody there is going to amount to nothing.
It was awful. That was me.
It's horrible that, because I mean, Kilwinning is two things that a comedian wants to do. They want to kill, they want to be winning.
Well, let's move forward from your career wins to, and we've kind of almost had an insight into your relationship, your early relationships and aspirations of them, to a relationship story that haunts you. And I keep telling people it doesn't have to be romantically, it can be a relationship with a family member or anything, but what have you brought?
That's interesting. I have went romantic route, and I asked my wife, I was like, "Is there anything that you can think of, like a story that I tell a lot, about anything embarrassing I've done or anything I regret. And then she was like, "Oh, you could talk about the first Valentine's we had," because she prefers cheese to chocolate. She's a very big cheese person. And so I bought a box of chocolates, took all the chocolates out and carved cheese into the shapes.
Yeah,
and put it in. And I was like, "That's not embarrassing. I'm quite proud of it."
That's good.
Yeah, I was quite pleased with that.
People say you're a cheesy guy. Wow.
Yeah.
That is wonderful.
But I don't know if this could be classed as like a regret thing, but I do think about it a lot. The very first time I ever met a girlfriend's parents, I got a hernia.
Oh.
And so I was in a phenomenal amount of pain the whole time.
What were you doing that brought on the hernia?
I'd rather that's private.
Right. So I wondered if that was part of the embarrassment.
Yeah, no. Well, do you know what? I'll just tell you how it comes about.
Okay.
And this is going to be a thing. I will come back on the podcast later and go, I regret telling the ins and outs of what causes this.
I already feel that this is going to be the clip for this episode.
Since I was about 17, which is when this happened, I've had what the doctors think is a hernia, but they've never really discovered it. There's a couple of things that could bring it on. Right. One of them is going to the toilet. Number 2, the strain.
Yes.
The other one is having an erection for too long. Would sometimes bring this on. And as we've discussed, I don't kiss people a lot, and me and my then girlfriend were kissing a fair bit, and I was enjoying it, shall we say?
And listen, you're regular bills, so
yes, I was kissing a lot, and so yes, it was all happening down there, but with no relief. The thing is, if we can get rid of the erection one way or another, it tends not to happen. But if it stays for a long time, the fluid obviously just builds up. I'm not a scientist, I don't know, but that's what causes it. And so we've been in her room kissing for a lot of time, and so I was worked up.
Yeah. And
then it brought it on, and then we had to go downstairs. I didn't really realise until I stood up, and I was like, "Oh no, I can't really move here."
Wow.
And so I had to meet her parents. Like, "This is my mum, this is my dad." I was like, "Hi, nice to meet you. It's really lovely to meet you." And they're like, "You okay?" I was like, "Yep, fine." And then her gran came along, and then I'm sat with all this family thinking I've got a hernia from being a horny, dirty little boy. And like the most pain I've ever been in at that point in my life.
Yeah.
Just sat like trying to chat to these people, and then when I get home to my mum, the thing's back, we need to go to the hospital. And by the time we got there, it'd gone away, and so they're like, "We don't really know what this is." And I'm like, "I'm telling you what it is." What? Unlike most hernias, so it's a gap in the lining of your stomach. Why am I telling you? It's a gap in the lining of your stomach. So most people, it just comes out as like a lump on their tummy. But because mine's obviously quite low down, the doctors think, the fluid doesn't go to it goes to my right testicle. And so it swells to triple the size.
Good on him.
And it's remarkable to look at when you see it. It's quite the thing. And so the doctors were so confused for ages about what it was. Eventually I got an operation for torsion because they thought it was maybe twisting. And it wasn't that at all, because I still occasionally will get it every now and then. But that is, I've just never bothered going back, because getting a full surgery to stop torsion, which caused nothing. And then the doctor, I'll tell you what really frightened me, because I got that when I was about 18, the operation. And he said, "Look, if this doesn't work, we'll maybe just consider removing the testicle." And I remember being like, "It's not the testicle that's the problem.
Yeah.
I've told you it's not going that." And another time I went to the doctor, and it was a female doctor, and she went, "Have you tried wearing tighter boxers?" And I'm like, "None of this is any use. This is why the NHS is crumbling."
Have you tried wearing?
That was one of the things. And then they later discovered that I think it could be a hernia. That would explain why the fluid and why it's happening when there's strain going on, and I think it's just going there. But they were like, "We could do an operation, but we need to put in some dye," and then they figure out where the gap is in your stomach lining. But it never happened.
You've never done it?
No. So that's been...
You're a medical marvel.
Yeah, it's been nearly 20 years now.
Listen, I genuinely feel this could be something that maybe a listener out there is kind of like, "God, I've got something like this going on," and no one ever speaks about the erection-induced hernia.
I was really hoping you were going, maybe a doctor will listen, they'll be like, "I know exactly what that is," and they can get in touch, and I'll finally get a resolution, and then I won't regret bringing this up. But as it stands, I probably will.
You got to speak about these things.
Because I've always just told people, I just get a bit of a hernia. I've never really discussed the ins and outs of it.
Well, my God, I'm glad you have, and let's discuss it further.
I don't know why you brought this out of me. I just felt
maybe the clip could be like, maybe we could do like an embarrassing body segment and we can actually get a look at him.
Yeah, well, you'll have to work me up for him. Who's
your favourite comic?
Well, Fred's right there. Fred Macaulay.
That's incredible. It's amazing to me how many things can go wrong with the human body that they also still don't know what is.
Yeah. Well, that's one. I've had it once. Like sometimes it will just be totally out of the blue and nothing feels like it's triggered it. And I had it once right like 5 minutes before I went on stage. It just happened, and I was like, "Oh, you're good." And I was on with Martin Byrne. I remember that. I was like, "Wow, I think I've got a hernia right now." He said, "What does that mean?" I mean, I can't really move.
It means you have turned me on.
I was sat bunched up, like just going, "Oh God!" And I had to go up. And I remember some of the routines I was doing at the time were quite physical, and that just made things so worse. But I was an alright gig, to be fair.
That's mad.
And I remember Martin saying to me when I came off, he went, "You used to get a hernia more often." I was like, I'm not going to do that.
Do you know what's also really, this is again adjacent to your story, but when you start telling me about the an erection that would go away, for any other big ER fans in here, there was an episode of ER once about a guy that came into the surgery that couldn't get rid of an erection, but being an American setting as well, he was an absolute devout Christian.
Of course, yeah.
And it was Moira Tierney's character, it was my favourite as well. He kept coming into the room and it wouldn't go away because he was attracted to it, and they were trying to encourage him to relieve himself, but he was like, "I can't, it's against my religion," and all that, because they kept saying, just a weird episode for any other big ER fans that remember that.
So he's like, "God wants me to procreate with it."
Yeah, he was saving the seed.
Yeah, this could be special.
But there's a lot of hotties in ER, so it was tricky. He went to the wrong place.
Yes, yeah. You want to go to a TV hospital, they're all attractive. You want to go to a regular run-of-the-mill
but no,
Livingston hospital.
I'm amazed by that story. I honestly find that really, I'm very curious and genuinely interested about how that's come about. I once had, I don't think it's related, but I once had a little hernia pop out in between my ribs.
Oh wow.
It came out and went away, and one time, and it never came back, never happened again.
Wow.
And when it was popping out, I thought I was dying.
Yeah. It's the worst pain ever.
Because it really doesn't feel natural at all.
Yeah. Like I've broken bones and stuff and nothing compares to it.
Yeah.
Like it's just constant awful pain.
That's now I'm just comparing different people.
The awful thing about it was trying to explain to my girlfriend that she could really help me out if we got rid of it, you know. And it did sound quite manipulative.
No, yeah, it kind of feels
it was literally giving me blue balls here, like this is terrible stuff. Maybe we could work together just so I feel better later.
Oh, we're going down a really horrible path. But I have a pal that I'll not name, but you know, okay. From a sketch group I used to be in.
Right. Oh.
And the kind of the middle one, let's say.
Right. Okay.
and he was having sexual relations with a young lady, and during intercourse, I've never liked this term when I've heard it's happened to people. But when people talk about his banjo string snapped,
yes.
People talking about that. Awful.
Yeah, people very casual with that story.
It's horrendous.
I think it sounds horrific.
I actually feel horrible even discussing the fact that this isn't even my own banjo string I'm discussing.
No, it makes me feel funny.
But his story of having, he was at the girl's house, this was both when we were quite young, it was at the girl's mum's house, and her mum was a nurse. And so when it happened and there was blood, they pulled out, he was just terrified. She was like, "Yeah, you have to come down and show my mum. Like, she'll know what to do."
Oh, man.
And he was like, no, please. She's like, "Please, this is not, something's wrong, something's happened." And so he had to go downstairs and show this girl. He just starts seeing his mum, his penis with a snapped, and oh my God.
That's horrendous. There's such a, like, because I mean, obviously we're very protective of our genitals, but then the second, I'd be like, "Oh, it's fine, it's okay, I'll just never use it again." So I'd rather nobody sees this at all. It's fine. I could be a monk. Monk look good. I like orange suits me. I'll go to Tibet. I can live there. I would rather. There's such a fine line, isn't it, between okay, yes, let's sort this out, and no, this is too embarrassing.
Anything down there is brutal. I mean, I do a routine. I'm not going to spiel off a routine about this, but I had a cystoscopy, and that is that is by far the most painful thing I've experienced, a camera up the penis.
Wow,
It
okay.
is outrageously painful, and I feel so ashamed at how I felt like it was agony, but the amount of kind of squirming, kind of sweaty muttering under my breath, and
Yeah.
remember after it then having to sit down with the doctor, and I was like, I really don't feel like I handled myself very well there. That's what I said. But to his credit, he went, everyone's the same. Like,
Yeah.
it's not a nice procedure.
Yeah.
But anything down there, just it's awful.
It's an exit, not an entrance, to quote Bruce Morton. I agree.
Listen, I feel like we should change the format of this podcast to just like mad men
Body horror.
stories.
Yeah.
Body horror. But no, that's a great one. Thank you for expanding
No
into
problem.
more detail than you ever would have thought.
Yes. I thought, I'll just tell the wee earlier. I think it'll be fine. It was nice trying to chat to them while they're all going, so what do you like at school, Gareth? And I'm like, PE, actually.
Now we sometimes ask as well, if you have a wee bonus story that can be from any of the previous topics, and this is generally exclusively for our Patreon users and subscribers. If you subscribe for less than the price of coffee every month, £3, £3 a month, you'll really be supporting an independent podcast, but you also get a bit of extended bonus content. Thank you for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
These are great stories. Where can the good fellow gardeners and landscapers, that's the nickname I'm trying to get for the...
Okay.
It's not catching on. Where can the listeners and viewers of this podcast see you? You've got live stuff coming up, I'm sure, but I also believe you have a BBC Radio 4 show that's on right now.
No, not quite. Well, when's this coming out?
This is coming out. This is, as you're listening to this now, I believe it is the second week of October.
Oh, perfect. Yeah. So, the 15th of October, which is maybe tomorrow, maybe today. Who knows? The miracle of media. Myself and Mylene Robertson have a Radio 4 series coming out. It's going to be on at 11 p.m, which I'm assured is the prime comedy slot.
Oh.
I don't believe that because it's very late, but that we've been told that. So it's called Humanwatch, and it's going to be you'll be able to get on the BBC Sounds app. It's 4 50-minute episodes starring myself, Mylene, Phil Ellis, who I said this is going to be the biggest thing you're on this year, buddy. Alison Spittle, Kai Humphreys, Dean Coughlin, Kate Hammer, Sam Lake, loads of good people. Kat Kavinga plays most of the other characters as well.
Yeah.
It's basically Spring Watch, but instead of like badgers and squirrels, we're looking at humans.
I like that. I've seen the brief for that. That's a good idea. Like seeing humans in natural habitats, kind of spoof.
Yeah, we're really
Here we
pleased with it.
see two podcasters.
Yeah, exactly that. Yeah. So that's kind of the vibe, and I literally just listened to all the episodes on the way over here for the first time,
nice.
and very pleased with how it's turned out. Very exciting.
Tune in, everyone. Please listen to that. Check out Gareth, follow him on socials, and thank you very much again for coming on.
Thanks for having me, man.
You've been listening to Stop Watering Dead Flowers. Thank you again, as always, to the Stand Comedy Club, to Sean Stables on sound and video, Chris Thorburn, our editor. If you can, please do like, share, subscribe, all the things you're supposed to do with podcasts. If you want to drop a little review as well, 5 stars, they really do help. But if nothing else, thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.